Hi everyone, welcome back. So my first videos actually starting my channel was about immigration, okay? Illegals in particular. This needs to stop, and I have been saying for a minute now, and I don't care if you're Latino and you don't like me saying this. I don't care if you're black and you don't like me saying this. I don't care if you're white and you don't like me saying this. What we have coming through the border isn't a fucking invasion. And if I don't know, finally you have individuals in which the border patrol is saying we are now having more and more illegals cross into our border with weapons. So when are we going to call it what it is? It's an invasion. Okay, we have people here in America, our constitution, we pay taxes so that, because it's stated in our Constitution that the United States has an obligation to those who pay basically our taxes, the taxes, which are the citizens. They cannot obfuscate what responsibilities that they have to do because we have entrusted them not only with our lives, but also with our money. We are funding them to carry out policies and laws that will protect Americans. And this right here is not it. Mayorkas, he's just, I don't know what the hell is wrong with that man. He needs to resign and he needs to call it out. A dog is a dog is a dog. Illegals coming over in massive amounts of numbers that they have been, it's an invasion, okay? They are not immigrants. They are not here legally, and simply giving them a court document saying that they need to come back at on this date does not it does not take away from the fact that they still are here illegally. Okay, just because you give them a document doesn't mean that they're now here legally. Okay, stop trying to confiscate, like basically trying to confuse everyone with this wording. It's so devilish, to be honest, and it's just evil. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this Fox contributor talk about this with a rancher who basically was told by Border Patrol to not confront these illegals coming over because they have been seeing a lot of people coming over with weapons. So without further ado, let's go.
In the meantime, residents of border communities continue to deal with daily migrant encounters on their property, and they're continuing to call on President Biden to see the border crisis firsthand. Valverde County, Texas rancher Laura Allen is one of those residents inviting Biden to visit the border, and she joins us now. Good morning to you. So you're inviting the president to visit your ranch. If he takes you up on your offer, what would he find?
Well, it's very interesting. Our ranch is unique in the aspect that the Pecos River and the Rio Grande River converge north of us, and that feeds into Amistad Reservoir, which is dammed just south of us. And so the border is just directly across from us. I mean, it's just a short swim.
Yeah, and you say that Border Patrol agents have told you don't confront the migrants coming on your ranch, on your property, because they're noticing that a lot more of them are carrying weapons with them, which is a pretty concerning prospect.
Very concerning. You know, we have several friends in law enforcement and in Border Patrol, and what they're telling us is they're finding more and more that are coming through and carrying weapons. And, you know, that's a scary prospect. I mean, you know, you don't want to confront somebody and put your own life in danger, but you don't really have a choice.
Yeah,
we don't know that we're going to secretly confront someone.
You certainly don't want to do that. And the ranch that you own has been in your husband's family for over 100 years. And you say that, you know, throughout that course of time, illegal immigrants have always crossed through Mexico onto your ranch, but things have changed in recent years. How so?
They've changed drastically, and this is a conversation that we have locally when we try to explain to people what's going on. We tell them, you know, people say, well, there's always been people crossing. Yes, there's always been people crossing, but not this magnitude, not the level of criminal element that we see. And in the past, somebody might be looking for day work, or, you know, they might just, you know, want a meal or some water. We've had instances recently where they've come across landowners and asked for water, and the landowner said, well, there's the hose. Well, no, we don't want that. We want bottled water.
Yeah, wow. So a little bit of possible entitlement there. And so you say, that situation is changing, but also Democrats are really changing their tune. You hear Nancy Pelosi now saying that the border does need to be secure. The Biden administration is changing their policies when it comes to Venezuelan illegal immigrants. And all this is happening 26 days until the midterm elections. How do you feel about that?
Nicely, I think it's pretty convenient. It's like putting your finger in the dam after the dam's already ruptured. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me and makes no sense to anyone locally. I mean, the numbers that have come through are so phenomenal in comparison to what we've seen historically. And so it's a little too late.
Yeah, and the only way to really know what...
Okay, yeah. So for those who don't get me, illegals do not need to be here. We don't care. Like me and most independents and those who bleed for these immigrants to come, for these, basically for immigrants to come here. We want them to come here legally. And when you do things like this, it destroys all possibility of coming to the table and making a plan to actually help these individuals seeking a better life. When you it's because you have no respect for the ones who are literally having these individuals come onto their property and and they're now living in fear. I don't know if she's living in fear, but if I was down there and there's a whole bunch of illegals crossing over and they're armed now, I most definitely would be more scared. I would set up a perimeter, have turrets, install turrets, like light sensors and everything. You come on my property, you die. Period. Simple as that. I don't care now. But like these Democrats need to understand this is not the way that you make policy. This is not the way you actually get people on your side, because now you're playing with their lives, you're playing with their livelihood, you're playing with their safety. And now because we're so close to the midterms, now you want to do something about the border? Too little, too late. The damage has already been done. The trust that we had in you to actually come to the table and sit down, both parties, to be honest. And I know that both parties don't want this to really work, but this is not the way you do it. This is not the way you do it, by circumventing our own laws, our federal laws that you had to pass bills on and enact. The federal government cannot choose what laws they will abide by, not if they expect fellow Americans to do the same. This is just corruption at the highest level. And, all of those who are for illegal immigrants, I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Today when I went to Chick-fil-A, I saw a legal family, a man, and it was it looked like his wife and a child sitting on the corner just begging. We don't want that here. If you go down to Mexico and all these other places, it just doesn't look nice when you have individuals just literally laid out on the side begging. I don't want that here. Who wants that in their hometown? Who wants that in their cities? Okay, it's an eyesore, and we have our own Americans to worry about. Why are we worried about these individuals when we have our own veterans on the street, when we have so many homeless on the street? Our streets look like trash. We need to start focusing on Americans. This is our money, okay? You need to start putting it back into American society, not bringing in these illegals who now seem like they are entitled to American tax dollars, American way of life, also American voting, without doing anything for us. And I'm pretty sure these individuals are not the ones that JFK was saying, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. These people are literally coming over who are not even citizens, saying and demanding that America should do this. America should do that. I want this. I want that. Like, no, you can take your sorry asses back to wherever the fuck you came from, because you let your governments just run amok. You let them be that way. You wonder why there's no social economical upward mobility in these countries. It's because these individuals are cowards. They let their governments run amok, run awry, and they don't even have the balls to stand up to the governments or their cartels. This is the individuals that we want in our country. I don't think so. That weakness will just breed and fester in our country. And I 100% do not want those types of individuals here. I only want legal immigration, asylum seekers, and refugee seekers, not those posing for not those coming up here for economical upward mobility, all posed while being a refugee or asylum seeker. You coming up here wanting to get rich is not a viable excuse as to why, or a viable reason as to why you should be here in our country, basically sucking up the teat at the government. You're overrunning our shelters, our food banks. This is for Americans. This is for Americans. And if anyone has anything to say about that, fuck you. I want to put Americans first. Okay. Once we get our shit together, then we can start helping everyone else. Why can't you guys put two and two together? Why can't you be logical like that? Why would you do this? If you had a family, think about this. If you had a family and your family was bleeding, your family was, bleeding money, you barely could feed your own kids, would you simply bring in a whole bunch of people and let them just raid your refrigerator, leaving you with absolutely nothing, and say, okay, kids, we're just going to have to survive on this? This is what our government is doing to American people, to the American people. These individuals are not going to be coming after my job. They're not going to be coming after, like professional jobs like doctors and, nurses and attorneys. They're not going to be coming after those jobs. They're going to be coming after the blue collar jobs, and they're going to be getting paid under the table. And people from both sides are going to be utilizing those individuals before they pay an American. And we all know this. If you're in the business of basically running a business, cost is everything. And if you can buy labor cheap, that's exactly what you will do. And for those to sit here and say, oh no, we won't do that, we're not going to do that, you are a liar. So please, Americans, think about this when you're going to the polls. Just think about this, okay? This needs to stop. And to see that now our politicians are getting involved, this is all political. They're playing not only they're using these illegals as pawns, and they're also using Americans as pawns at this point. You try, like Nancy Pelosi now saying something about it. If that's not the most bullshit move ever, you said nothing about this for the past 2 years. Now you feel like your job is in jeopardy, the Senate's in jeopardy, the House is in jeopardy, in the sense that you guys won't have Democratic control. Well, guess what? You should have thought about that before you unleashed the floodgates and said, come. So think about your children. Think about the school they will now have to go to with individuals who don't even speak English. Think about how that will be detrimental to the growth and the education of your child, especially if you're going to a public school. Okay? Not only will they have to slow down everything slow down learning so that these individuals who don't even know English can keep up. They might slow down your child's learning, and the I should say not slow down your child's learning, but slow down your child's learning development. Their grades might certain courses might have to get pushed to a later grade because hey, we all don't want to leave any child behind, right? Okay, bullshit. These kids need to go back to wherever the fuck they came from and go on and with that shitty ass education system. We already got a shitty one here. We don't need them coming in over here and making it worse. Think about your futures. Think about your children's futures when you guys go to the polls, this November, because this is just a travesty. Just a travesty.